Hello, I'm Ainsley from A Mama with Trauma. Thank you for coming to my page today. I am so glad you stopped by. If it wasn't for you stopping by, I would feel really a little bit alone today. So thank you. If you like what you see, I would appreciate if you would like or subscribe. Today on this episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about how I connected with my own identity and how important that has been in my healing process from trauma and just motherhood and being around other people and all of that kind of stuff. This may be a little bit of a longer video. I'll try and keep it short, but we'll see. As a disclaimer, every single time I post, every single time I create something, it is for my benefit and for whoever who comes across this page. I am not seeking vengeance or harm or being vindictive or anything like that towards those who have abused me or harmed me or caused me any pain. I am just sending this energy and information out to hopefully meet people who are very sensitive and similar to me, and maybe this information to kind of give them some encouragement and maybe even help or wisdom, who knows. But yes, so identity for anyone who this is not for anyone. I can't speak to anybody else but my own experience, and I recognize that. So let me be careful of articulating this whole thing only from my personal experience and information. This is not from anybody else's. So being traumatized and abused for as long as I was, I, especially in the household that I grew up in, and then going through a very short period of time where I was able to be alone, and then getting into a marriage, basically my identity has not really existed. I have had to almost kind of reflect a small part of myself that was truly myself, but I could only be a small part of my identity around the people that I was around. And that was the one that they deemed acceptable. It was the fraction of my identity that was always I just took whatever was given to me. The way I was treated, the way love was given to me, I just accepted that. I tried to always be, I was also highly encouraged to only be happy, to always be like the bright star in the room, even though that always drained me. That has always drained me. People have always drained me. Spaces have drained me. The sensations and things in this world they've always taxed me very quickly and heavily. And I always thought there was something wrong with me. I was told that there was a lot wrong with me. Let's be very clear on that. I was given a lot of messages that there was a lot wrong with me, but performing and acting in these small windows of like being a dutiful daughter or a quiet daughter or a happy daughter, these roles, that's where I could operate in. And as I grew, that just diminished me so significantly. So significantly. It just kept eroding something so fundamental. And I remember at some point in my life telling myself and making this connection deep inside myself that I had to hold fiercely to something that was within myself. And I had to put a lot of energy and effort into holding on to that. What that was, I couldn't tell you. Now, looking back, I'm like, oh, it was my identity. It was my personality. It was me, my soul being. This whole time I've like been fiercely holding on to it, waiting for a safe space so I could open this up and just be, just be, to be alive, to be a real person, to be a real human, to breathe, to have feelings and emotions and like the full capacity of what the human experience is. And sitting here now, I still am not able to fully be myself in my own home because I'm still in this space with my husband, and that it hurts so bad. Like it irks this part of me so badly. I'm just like, want to be free. And I will get there. I know this is a very motivating part of myself. But the journey to get to figuring out who I truly was has been, to say the least, very complex. But, I mean, my thought was, if I've been given my whole life, what else am I going to do with it? What else am I going to do with my life and my time? I mean, yeah, there's like, go to work, make money, eat food. I get that. Also, like, raising my child and being engaged in the present and fully for my child. But like me, Ainsley, if I have a lifetime to unravel this and figure this out, then why not do it? Why not? So I grew up in a pretty sort of a religious home. The Bible was used, scriptures were quoted as weapons to achieve an effect, to achieve a discipline. But I remember hearing about like love, blah, 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 blah. And so as I got older, I started searching. I'm like, okay, where is this like soulful, deep, caring love in the Bible? And you know, I started with the whole God and Jesus thing. And you know, I spent so many years working that angle, like for myself, like really trying to dive in and understand that angle with like Jesus is dying on the cross and he loved me and God loved me, or some like loved me. And you know, where is that love? Do I actually feel that love? Do I see that love presenting itself? And again, for me, I pursued a spiritual walk. I pursued a spiritual walk and you know, connected very deeply to something very spiritual. And where I am now on that is not, it's not today's Christianity. That doesn't really align with what I know about my Creator's care for me. It's vastly different. And you can say God, Allah, the universe, energies. Many people have many names for this. Personally, I use God. I like the sound of that. It kind of does sound a little home, like, I guess if I knew what a home felt like, it would have a very home type of a feeling. And I've went down that path, and I've read the Bible multiple times, like on peeling the onion, so to speak, like really peeling the onion and going through each of these verses and trying to shift my perspective of like, who's writing this? Whose perspective is this? Am I reading? What am I hearing? What does my heart say with what I am reading? And also recognizing what have I been told about what I read, and basically just dissecting all of it. Like, I'm coming to the conclusion for myself, like, I don't want anyone else's opinions and perspectives in here and in here and in here regarding my spiritual walk. Because for me, my spiritual walk helped me connect to my personality and my identity. I was almost like a gateway or a bridge. And that was important for me. Without that supreme being, or the universe, God in my case, Allah for others, I needed that guide, because I knew what I mentally, psychologically, subconsciously was the road that had been written and that I was on. I needed a guide who could help pull me and guide me and communicate with me back into a different place. So, I read the Bible, did the thing, and I was always left wanting more information. And I'm just like, this Bible's cool, great. I mean, it's weird in some places. Don't get me wrong. It's like, if you're trying to read the Bible and you're starting at the beginning, you're not gonna make it through. Sorry, you're just not. It's horrible. It's a horrible beginning. The Bible is very, very interesting. Jesus, his story, it's a little bit softer, if I could find a word. It's a little bit softer, a little bit more palatable, a little bit more, I found a little bit more relatable, almost like God, like parent versus Jesus, older sibling. And I am an older sibling. I do have a brother, and I found that a little bit more, because of what I was going through, a little bit more what I needed. I needed more of like a sibling's guidance instead of like a hammer of dawn from a parent's perspective. So I used Jesus as a tool to help me undo and relearn a little bit more about who I was and what I had experienced in my life and my identity. The identities of like being a daughter, the identities of being an older sister, the old identities of being a female, all of these facets, and they were still not. It just wasn't clicking. I'm like, these are like archetypes that were put out for me to like, what was forced to step into. They don't feel very me-ish. And I kept coming back to what was in existence when I was created. Because I think that is a part of the Bible that I did like the story of, was me being royalty, me being vital, my existence being intentional And like really kind of holding on to that. Like, man, if my existence is so intentional, like, how do I get to that? Not why am I here and why did I go what I go through. That's life. Life is shit. You're gonna go through shit no matter what. It's just how you for me, is how I deal with the shit. And I had been given these offers of how I figure out how to deal with the shit, and I'm like, I don't accept any of this. None of this is making sense for me. So the only conclusion I really came to was, what else was in existence when I came to this earth, when I came to be born. And honestly, the only thing that I kind of that just naturally came about, because I'm very much into like what was natural for me, what was a natural thing for me. And I came to astrology. I came around to where the sun and the moon were when I was created. And I mean, that's the creator putting those into those specific places when I was born. If this is so, like, my intention on being in this planet is legit. So the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, all of that is the creator's way of like imprinting on me individuality and personality and characteristic traits that cannot be matched to anybody else. And almost like a fingerprint. That's how I viewed that. I'm like, I'm being led to this. And so the Bible was never really a huge like, oh, this is who you are type of a thing. I mean, yeah, this is who you are in Christ, but that was not fitting what I really needed. I really need to know, like, no, okay, like, who am I now? Like, personality wise, cool Christ and all, but like, no, who am I? Like, how I think, my emotions, they're very unique in some situations, and some of them are really powerful, and some of them are very weak, and I can feel the pull of all of this. And like, I just saw this archetype of like who I am in Christ was very like a square, and I'm like, I know I'm unique. I know that. I know there's nobody else out there like me. So how do I find this fingerprint? And I started looking at astrology. I initially started it because of having my child and wanting to like separate myself versus her. But the more I searched for my own self and my own healing and figuring things out, the more I was pulled down into astrology and how it really truly helped me figure out who I am. And it has been the most helpful tool for me to reference and check myself, check who I am, to check my character, to check how I handle situations. And not that I am not the type of person who is like I don't cling to something very easily until I have like examined every single facet and been very objective about it. I don't emotionally get attached to things very quickly. There's always such a huge hesitation and almost like a testing for everything. That's my personality. And again, as I went into astrology, I recognize that. It literally talks about that being part of my character, and how I remember being so shamed for that. So shamed by my family of being objectively like critical and questioning and like analytical on some of these levels. And no one in my family liked that. They did not like that. And I got so shamed and punished for that. And going down to astrology and being like, no, that's literally your character. That's who you are. And grieving the loss of how my family missed me. They missed who I was in my makeup and design. And being sad about that, but also recognizing that I'm not going to hold on to the grief. I am going to let it out, but I'm also going to continue to look for me, to look for who I am, to figure out and love and care for my character, my personality, and yeah. It's definitely been a good journey, and I'm not stopping. And I've just enjoyed it. And for any of those who question or wonder or are curious, I definitely recommend it. I am Ainsley from Mama with Trauma. Thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.